Welcome everyone, I'm Michelle Schumann. I'm the Artistic Director of the Austin Chamber Music Center and the festival, and this is our festival focus. I am here with John Moon and Mohammed from Atash. It's always great when we can do these interviews in person, so we have some local artists to chat with. So thank you for being here, and thank you guys for being here.
Thank you very much.
We're really excited about you guys performing during our festival this year. I've wanted to have you guys for a while now, so this is great. And you have a fantastic Middle Eastern fusion band, and we haven't done anything like that during the festival before, so we're very excited to be able to do something like that. And I think that style of music, it really appeals to many, many generations, so I think it's really fun to be able to do that. It doesn't appeal to any one kind of segment.
Yeah.
Yes, we're very happy that you invited us to be a part of your music series in the summer. It's we're honored to be a part of that, and we've been hoping that this would happen, and it's here and now, so we're really excited to bring our music to your festival.
Yeah, and of course you're based here in Austin, but you've been doing a lot of touring lately. Tell me about some of your touring and your antics and your international things that you've been doing lately.
Well, we have been, touring in Europe. We have toured Taiwan. We have Mexico, United States, and we just wherever we go, wherever they, take the message of music and love and peace with us.
Yeah.
That's what we are here to do.
And this kind of music really combines that. Not just music, but it is about the message of that kind of love and peace. Can you explain how that kind of gets infused into the music and how you do that?
Well, as they say, music is the universal language. And if you notice, wherever you go and there is somebody playing music, suddenly you hear people gathering around that person.
Right.
So that's what music does, brings people together, and that's what the gift that, universe, God gave us to have, and that's what we do.
And when you go to different places that you've never performed at before, how is the audience different? Because of course you're based in Austin, so I'm sure you have an Austin crowd who loves you and knows you. But when you go to other places, how does that change?
Well, in the beginning they just look at us, and then at the end they're like, wow.
So they come maybe a little suspect, like, is this going to be good? We'll see how that is, and then you can gain that trust in that period.
Yeah,
and sometimes we have the dance crowd that's ready to dance and get up there, and sometimes we're expecting that kind of crowd, and it's a crowd out there that's really there to see a concert and listen.
Mm-hmm.
So the pressure's on when they're not dancing and they're really listening,
right.
Concert style. I think even when it's that crowd, eventually they have to get up and dance to our music. One way we keep a dance beat throughout our music. It's almost like dance trance music.
And this style of music, I think, more than a lot of traditional and world music, really lends itself well to that. Like going from old world tradition to a real new style. I feel it does that well. I have a friend who's a Persian friend, and when they have their weddings together, they have this fantastic music that plays, and it really brings together all the different, like, young kids, older people, and nobody feels like they're dancing to someone else's music. Like, it all becomes their music throughout the generations.
Yeah, when we got together and to play this music, we did not have any idea what we wanted to do. Let the ideas fly.
Right.
Here's a melody, let's do something with it, and so there is a pure freedom about where music is gonna go. We have no idea where music is gonna go till it's like a food. You have no idea how the food is gonna taste till you put all the ingredients in it. And when the food is cooking, it makes a lot of noise, and when it's done, it's quiet, and it tastes good, you know.
Yeah,
And that's what that's what our music is like.
Well, and that's the essence of chamber music, really, too.
Yeah,
Is this idea that there's not any one real leader, but that you develop a really great sound because there's so many people who have ideas to bring to the table. And John, you come from a traditional background too, and then being involved with Atash. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Atash and how you've been able to bring the traditional classical side into that and be influenced by Atash into your classical playing as well.
Sure. I met Roberto Riggio, who's one of the founding members of this band, in 1987 at UT Music Camp. And we entered as freshmen in the music school in 1989. So we've just been really good friends, and he's been involved with Middle Eastern music and Arabic studies, and kind of went that way. He started in Western classical and ventured off, and I stayed in Western classical. And we were rooming together, we were living together as college roommates, and he...
See, this is a good interview for you to be at.
That's right.
You're learning more.
He was listening to me work on a Mozart piece and said, I really want your sound in the band. And so I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And it's funny that our first project was the silent movie, The Unknown, which is what we're doing here.
Exactly.
So it's come full circle.
Yeah, exactly.
And, but how's it helped me as a classical musician? The rhythm, the freedom, really getting to know your sound, getting into the recording studios and hearing your sound in that way, helped me come back to classical with I think a different perspective of rhythm and freedom to free up the rules that we learn in classical music and trying to get away from that. So this band really helped me get away from it in a different way, improvise, but at the same time, I think they rely on supporting the melody lines and adding structure and bringing the Western classical influence into this music.
Well, it's funny what you say about the rules, because really, the rules in classical music, they're there really as tools to help us be free in that way. And so oftentimes, students, kids, whatever, even professionals get just caught up in the rigidity of that. And so I'm really happy that you'll be able to work with our workshop students. And
we look forward to that a lot. We love working with young children. And
of course you teach the orchestra program at St. Stephen's, so you are very entrenched working with kids.
Yes, and it's fun to help them grow in that way and to work with them and to perform.
Yeah. Well, and it's exciting to be able to expose them to this very different type of music too.
Yes.
So, Mohammed, did you grow up with this music? Has this been a part of your being for all time?
Well, I grew up in Iran, and so my first experience with music was, mostly in, other than, listening to radio, but, in spiritual gatherings, singing in a mosque. And then when I was 12 years old, somehow I was listening to my father's radio, and my playing with it, and it comes this music, and it was rock and roll. And it was rock and roll, and I just got, so drawn into it, and so, music in Iran is, since I am from Iran, so I talk about music, how I was, exposed to all this kind of music in Iran. You have classical music, Iranian music, which you are encouraged to listen to. Then you have folkloric Iranian music, and then you have pop music. So pop music, you are not encouraged to listen to because it messes up your mind.
Right. Yeah. Clearly.
As a kid, it messes up your mind. So
Did you hear all that?
But I did mess up my mind, and I was called by my father sour grape, because I started listening to that kind of music, and I could not get away from it. So, the music of Atash now is, you know, is a mixture of everything that I have listened to all my life.
Right.
You know,
It's that fusion.
that fusion, the energy, you know, the beauty, and the, you know, and the, you know, it's all there. That's something, you know, that, as I said, you know, this music is, you know, we write original music, and because in life, you know, I believe, you know, you have one life to live, and, you know, why you want to do other people's music? You know, you should.
Well, you know, Beethoven isn't so bad to play.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, that
That doesn't count. That's different, right?
Yeah.
No, but you have a muse inside of you that you want to be able to get out. I understand that too.
Well, you know, we do not go and say, oh, we have to write original music. You know, there is not that pressure. You know, you just get together. As I said, you know, we get together and start cooking food.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's what we do.
And what is your songwriting process? Is it a lot based in improvisation, or does one person come with an idea? Tell me about that a little bit.
Well, you know, usually, you know, there is a person who comes up with a melody, and then, you know, then here's a melody, I have this melody, and the rest, you know, is everybody puts, you know, the beauty of, you know, Jason McKenzie adding, you know, the drum, you know, John Moon and Roberto Riggio adding the strings, you know, Indrajit Banerjee adding the sitar, you know, the Abu Bakr Sela and Arseni Sela, you know, helping with the, you know, with percussion and balafon, and you know, Dylan Jones coming with the bass. So, you know, that's how it starts. You know, there is a, you know, somebody has this na 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 na, you know, and it builds all around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think one of the beautiful things that happen with our songs is they're really never done.
Right.
You know, we continue to play the same songs, but they continue to evolve because of the improvisation that happens, and someone might do something different on a gig, and it leads us into a different place with the song. So it's really hard to produce CDs because it's almost like a snapshot.
Right.
Here it is.
Right.
You know, then we'll come back to it and say, okay, we're going to stick to that arrangement we did in the CD, right, everyone? And then something happens to the song, and it goes into a different direction. So it's nice, it's fresh every time you play all of
That's so fun.
Yeah.
How will you work on that with the kids who will be, you know, who might have this feeling of like, well, I think it's great, and I think that they should be pushed in that direction, but you might get a little bit of resistance to feeling like, just tell us how it's going to go, and we'll learn it that way. But to open up their minds that possibility can exist.
For the kids, we've arranged parts,
Right.
so we play from memory and just know things by heart, which has also been good. Getting away from classical and doing that a lot more. I
love calling it playing by heart. I think we've started calling it, I memorize this, I memorize that, but saying that you play it by heart,
absolutely,
it's a different feeling.
Yeah, it definitely is. And but we've scored it out. You know, Roberto's been arranging parts based on what we did in 1999. Was it 1999?
Yeah.
And he's been putting it down on paper for them, and so we'll have nice scores for them to read off, and it'll be pretty planned out for the movie.
Right.
But then we'd like to do a couple of songs with them afterwards, and let the ones that want to improvise, you know, take the stage a little bit that way through our pieces. So we'll give them both ways.
Yeah. And what's the difference when you're improvising in a more Western way and an Eastern way? Do you have certain scales or certain modes that you use? Is there?
We use Indian rags at times, so we're playing quarter tones, half flats in there. So that's another aspect of this music that's helped me understand Western classical equal temperament tuning, because I'm now playing and having to learn how to hear notes that are in between the notes that we're playing. And so it's really helped my intonation a lot, you know, just hearing things like that. Yeah. So different songs yield, you know, quarter tones and half flats. So it's been nice that way.
And when you're singing, what takes you to a different world while you're singing? Do you just let the music take you someplace? Do you plan out how you're going to be doing things? How does that function for you?
No, I don't really plan to, to do anything. I just know that, when you sing, you put, love for planet Earth. You sing to planet Earth. You sing to all the beauties on Earth. You sing to the pain, to to happiness, to sadness, to all of that. And so when you sing, all of that comes, out of you. And of course, when you are, singing to the audience, you want to make sure, you hit every note, and you prepare, to give a good performance, And but sometimes I go and to the nature and I sit under the tree and I sing to the tree, or I sing to the river,
Yeah.
And so because they understand it.
And they'll sing back.
They sing back.
If you listen carefully, right?
Oh, I like that. If you listen carefully, we have fallen to a place where everything is music.
Yeah.
And if one of our instruments must break, that does not matter. There are hidden instruments playing everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm very excited about this project, and as you mentioned, you'll be performing a live soundtrack to the film The Unknown from 1927. Totally weird, little macabre film. Who chose that originally? Did you?
Alamo Drafthouse. Actually.
Alamo
Oh,
Draft
yeah,
House,
they had
They were
Yeah.
doing
Draft
those
House.
series in
Yeah.
the late '90s where they were inviting groups to put their music to
Yeah.
sound. So that's what got us.
Yeah, the
involved.
story is very, interesting, It's
Yeah.
about the power of love, the power of hate, the power of losing it over love, love can make you do crazy things,
Right, the willingness to do anything for love,
Love,
and then
yeah,
still that love doesn't come back to you.
Well,
Oh.
Well, in this case, the guy lost his hands,
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy lost his hands, and there was no way he could gonna get his hands back.
Yeah.
So he said, "I'm gonna make sure the other guy loses his hand."
Well, it's totally weird but fascinating, and it really
Yeah.
and what a great silent film to be able to do a soundtrack too, because there's lots of possibilities, I think, in it, and I'm excited again for our young artists to be working with you, because not only are they going to be able to experience world music in a way that they never have before, and this Middle Eastern style, but to be able to play to a film. And to do a soundtrack means that they have to be able to be aware of that, because there's less freedom in that, in a way. So they're going to have this ultimate push and pull of being free and then not being free. So I think it's a great experience for them.
As I was saying, if you go to Middle East, you go to Indonesia, you go to any part of the world, you see these kids, and they are, got pictures of Lady Gaga.
Right, anywhere.
In a Muslim country like Indonesia, Lady Gaga goes to Indonesia and sells out the 50,000 stadium, and the people don't really know what Lady Gaga is saying.
Right.
So the music, language of music is the language of heart.
Yeah.
And when the music touches you, so when we go and we play Atash music, and sometimes they don't know what I am saying, because I am singing in Farsi, and just as when I listen to rock and roll, on the radio, that was coming from Radio Kuwait, and that radio was not even in Iran, it was coming from the air, and from the universe, it was coming to me. And
Bam, that's down to you.
It came right there.
yeah, and I didn't know what the song was saying or anything, but the music, touches your soul, and that's it. And that's what our music, is. Any music, You don't really need to know what the singer is really saying. Of course, you can find out what the singer is saying, and in most cases, the lyrics are beautiful. But language given to the heart
Yeah.
is better than the language given to the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like maybe this is uncharted territory, that why don't we look for world peace through music when it
Exactly.
is the language that we can all communicate through?
Exactly.
And understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yet that doesn't exist very often, but
That's why they are so scared of music.
yeah.
You know, they know that the music is going to unite the world,
Mhm.
and here they are, trying to, tell kids that music is not good for you to listen to,
Mhm.
because they know when they listen to music, they want to love.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then we're going to start to unite the world. We'll,
We
we'll
are-
start that on
we have been
July
start-
26th, right?
Yes,
And we
that's
unite the
right.
world.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've been doing it on many years. On July 26th, we go at it again.
Yeah, that's right.
Till the last breath.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Well, it was a real pleasure to speak with both of you, and
Thank
I'm
you for
very
having
excited about
us.
this project. Thank you so much for being part of the festival.
you.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll see all of you there.
Be there.